All right, today we're going to be talking about the differences between NLP, meditation, and hypnosis. And like Richard Bandler said, everything comes down to hypnosis. You are moving in throughout your day in different trances. You have the parenting trance, you have the driving trance, you have the Facebook dead scrolling trance, you have the work trance, right? The talking to clients trance. You have all these different trances, and these are patterns that you've developed through patterning, through repetition, that now the unconscious mind runs as an unconscious program. And there are good things, and there are things that aren't serving you. There are things that are discoherent, that are a pattern, right? And so that's been ingrained through continually feeding it through repetition, what the body now craves, right? You've now created the chemical factory of the chemicals that are made when you're in a discoherent state. You have taught your unconscious mind that this is the reality you want, and so it keeps showing you the same thing over and over again. And so the other thing is that again, you're moving in and out of trance. Trance is patterned and it's habitual, like we talked about. What you think and what you feel is automatic. Your brain learns behaviors through repetition and neural pathways becoming established. And this is how both are helpful and hurtful, right? It's been reestablished. The other thing is consciously programming of the unconscious mind. You're uniquely equipped to program yourself. And it's not dehumanizing, it's liberating, right? It's not like, you're sitting here incongruent with yourself. It's just that once you realize that you have the power and the ability to reprogram your unconscious mind and therefore your conscious mind, it is a liberating fact that you can do. You can also do, think about sleep. Sleep can be a very powerful rehearsal to change state, to change behaviors, and to bring repetition. So when you learn, we'll get into how to set yourself up to use that state as a change state as well. It's super powerful because, again, it can kind of continue to rework those patterns and accelerate your capacity to internalize that change. What else do I want to cover? Trance isn't about losing control. That's a lot of people think that, when you go under trance, you're suggestible and you have no control over it. In fact, it's usually the opposite. You usually have more control. And that's kind of a misnomer that people don't understand in hypnosis. It's about reclaiming it. It's about reclaiming control. By understanding how these states work, it can internally shape them to support change, healing, and transformation. And that's what we're going to get more into. That's why learning trance is so important, how to just drop into that unconscious awareness state. That is the state where kind of your critical factor is out of the way, where you're not, because normally change is hard when we're in our waking state, because when we suggest that change, we're like, oh, well, that won't work, right? Or well, I could never do that. See, we have these limited beliefs, and we're going to get into how to reprogram and dismantle those limited or limiting beliefs. But for now, just understanding that you have the power to reprogram your mind is what I want to sink in right now. And I want you just to work with going into an altered state, going into trance and going into an altered state, and seeing how easy that is. And from there, we're going to be learning to do all kinds of amazing work. So I just wanted to touch base on that. There is no difference between, the NLP state, the hypnotic state, and meditation. Everything is meditation. In NLP, however, what we are doing is we are putting very precise attention and intention into everything that we're doing while we're in an altered state. Whereas meditation, we might have set an intention to begin the meditation and maybe time, but we're kind of like free floating in that space. Maybe it's just about, becoming unaware of the body, nowhere, no time, no one experience. And that's a beautiful experience. But with NLP, what we're doing is we're setting our intention and our attention on a very specific thing while we're in state. And that is kind of the difference between that and meditation. NLP and hypnosis are more, very intentional with attention on specific things. Meditation can be intentional, but then it's, sometimes it's fighting through the mental warfare of getting through the thoughts and the patterns and the repeated stuff that's keeping you from the state you want to be in. When you bring in suggestion and commands to the unconscious mind, it likes, and you use symbols and you believe it and you're congruent with it, you will find that you can go into a more selective state of being. And that's why I've kind of transitioned. I've been meditating most of my life, and now I'm using more self-hypnosis because I want to experience a very specific intention or attention. I want to have attention on something. And so my intention is going to be on this. And that's where hypnosis can be a little bit more refined than meditation. It's all beneficial and it's all beautiful, and it's the time to be quiet. And I mean, there's times, sitting in nature, you can't beat just zoning out on a stream, right? And just being fully present. Meditation teaches that. So does hypnosis. So does NLP change work. It uses trance to create a very specific state of being. So hopefully this was helpful to kind of understand the difference between states, because that's really what it is. We're all under hypnosis throughout the day. We're all in trance. So to think that you can't be hypnotized would mean that you couldn't learn, right? That you couldn't be suggestible at all. Then you wouldn't learn and you wouldn't really be human. So everybody is suggestible. Everybody is in and out of trance. It's just now becoming aware of it is going to be very helpful, because we're going to use those states to bring about very specific attention and intention for change. Transmutation, moving from base lead to gold in our mind. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. All right. So hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully, if you have any questions, leave it in the comments. I'm really trying to build this channel. I think that it's so important that we begin to be intentional people who live with intention and have our attention on pleasure and love and goodness, right? And so what better way to see the world change than to clean up your own backyard, to clean up the thoughts in your own mind so that you start experiencing life in a blissful state, in a joyful place, so that you can be effective in bringing change and consciousness to everybody and everything around you. So that's the goal. All right, so we'll see you next time. Thank you.